Hi again, it's me.
So with the Olympics coming upon us this year after being delayed because of obvious reasons, instead of watching the damn thing, I'm sat here making this. So I wonder to myself, why isn't F1 an Olympic sport? Well, can it be an Olympic sport in the first place? Is it even worth doing? Will it be a spec series? Well, stick around and I'll tell you. Right, so when I came up with this, I wanted to see if it was an Olympic sport already, but then got dropped for something. And then when I looked it up, the closest thing I could find was something called A1GP. So A1 was a spec series of open wheel racing that ran from 2005 until 2009. It was unique in its field in that competitors solely represented their own nations as opposed to themselves or a team like they would in a normal racing series. So because of this, it was often promoted as the World Cup of Motorsport. The series was also backed by the FIA and the races were held in the F1 off-season. Now, to be honest, this seems like a perfect recipe for something like this, but because of some poor decisions and some poor monetary management, the series collapsed in 2009 only in its 5th season of racing. Right, so with that out of the way, how could we make an Olympic sport that incorporates the best of F1, A1GP, and the best drivers in the world representing their country? Well, I think there's a couple things we need to sort out if we want to see the potential of this theory. Right, so the things that I think we need are a good car for the competitors to compete in, a group of really good teams to represent the countries, and also driver lineups for said teams. We also need a really good format to provide all the action. We need good tracks, we need a good amount of funding, and we need some prize pools. Right, so we'll start out with the car requirements, and to be honest, it's a bit complicated. So let's start with the engine. For the heart of the cars, I reckon we should take a hybrid V6 running 50% biofuel so they have some type of relevance, and realistically we need the max horsepower to be around 850 to 900, and we should be looking for maybe about 310 miles per hour for the maximum speed. Maybe one of the 4 current F1 providers or a company such as Volkswagen, Lamborghini, heck even BMW could provide said engines. But one really good idea that I came up with is that a producer from each country could provide the engines. So for example, in this year's Olympics, which is held in Japan, you could say Honda or Yamaha could make the engines. So with the car itself, in specific the chassis, we would definitely want downforce in between the levels of an F2 and an F1 car, but definitely closer to the high end so we keep the performance and the spectacle. We definitely need a safe but light car, and definitely lighter than modern F1 cars. Since it is a spec series, Dallara could make the chassis for every team, and it could be rather small to reduce the cost since it is only a one-off event. Now, I'm no expert, but I think any country that's already in the Olympics can submit teams. The teams will consist of engineers from say F2, F1, WC, etc, etc. And they will basically work to find the best setups and make their drivers comfortable. So quickly before I get into what drivers drive for what teams, let me just quickly ask you to subscribe and like the video. You know it's free and blah 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 blah, but I would really appreciate if you join my journey to 100 subs and potentially beyond. Right, so with that out of the way, here's my fantasy teams and their driver lineups. Just bear in mind that most of this takes inspiration from this Twitter post I came upon while writing this. For Spain, we got Alonso and Sainz. I don't think there's really any other option, to be honest. For Finland, we have Bottas and Raikkonen. Once again, no other options really, unless Hakkinen comes out of his sabbatical. For the UK, we have Russell and Hamilton. Now, to be honest, this one's a hard one because the UK has so much young talent, especially in F1, but this lineup is pretty good. For the Netherlands, we have De Vries and Max Verstappen. Yeah, once again, no other options really. I mean, you do have Verschoor in F2, but he doesn't really have enough experience to take on this. So from France, we have Ocon and Gasly, and to be honest, that's just the best lineup from France I can think of right now. From Australia, we have Ricciardo and Piastri. To be honest, this is the perfect mix of raw pace and experience. From Belgium, we have Van Doorn and Norris. Now, this one's a bit controversial, but I reckon Lando can compete for Belgium because he has a Belgian mother. But to be honest, there's really no other drivers I can think of, so it's either Norris for Belgium or no Belgium at all. For Canada, we have Stroll and Latifi. Yep, pay driver heaven, huh? For Mexico, we have Perez and Award, who comes from IndyCar, and he's a very talented driver in my opinion, so that's a really good lineup. Then for Germany we have Schumacher Jr. and Vettel. Similar to the Aussie team, they got good experience and really good raw pace. So for Japan we got Tsunoda and Marino Sato. I think this is one of the youngest and fastest lineups on the grid right now. For Italy we got Giovinazzi and Nannini, and I'm not gonna lie, there was a surprising lack of talent coming from Italy, unless you consider Deleda a talent, which probably means you need to see the doctor sometime soon. And from Monaco we have the Leclerc brothers. This would be a great driver lineup, and the driver chemistry would be to the moon because of... Right, so for the race format we'd need a lot of action, preferably something short with little practice and a sprint race maybe. So here's what we could do. So on Saturday we will have the 1 hour practice that is mandatory. The quality will be the usual Q1, 2 and 3 setups. This format is the exact same as the Friday from Silverstone, but here's where the twist comes. We get rid of the useless practice before the sprint and we move it forward a bit, so we have the sprint race, which will be a maximum of 1 hour long in the evening. There will be no stops and hopefully there will be a lot of action. Points will be given for the top 8, with the winner getting 10 points, second getting 8 and the third with 6, and the rest being spread down the field. Now, if you have noticed, there are 26 drivers in this grid, so for in the sprint race, the last 6 will be eliminated. So then these sprint race results will set the reverse grid for the Sunday race. So then on Sunday, we will have the main race. Now, since this is the only motorsport event in the Olympics that we're thinking of right now, there will be drivers from all series you could think of. So I'll make the race 3 hours long to cater a bit to the endurance races. Not only that, but it will also help the faster drivers come back from the back of the grid, so the best driver can still win the race. There will be a mandatory 2 stops with the same rules about using 2 sets of different tyres minimum in place. The same point system from the F1 races will be applied to this final race on Sunday. So this year the Olympics will be held in Japan, so obviously the most obvious track to race at would be Suzuka. Suzuka is an iconic track with some amazing and iconic corners. As you likely know, it already hosts F1's Japanese Grand Prix. Some other options would include Fuji Speedway and Twin Ring Motegi, which are both really great tracks. Now, for funding, I would say the whole operation should be paid for by the FIA, the International Olympic Committee, which run the Olympics in the first place, and a couple track sponsors, and maybe the TV licensing, as Sky F1 will probably want to broadcast this. And for the teams, I reckon they should be able to muster some sponsors, especially from their own country. I think also the drivers should be able to pay the teams via the sponsors or through personal wealth if it's possible. Realistically, I want to keep this operation cheap because, you know, it is only a 1 race thing. I mean, you could make this into like a whole A1GP series, but that would be a lot more expensive as a series, and it will take away the glamour and the spectacle from the main Olympic event. Now we have the prize pools. To be honest, this isn't really my forte, but I'll still have a go. Every team will be given a base 10 million because I believe that might cover the costs of the cars and everything like that. And the top 5 teams will be given prize money from 5 million down in the order of where they came. The top 3 drivers will get 3 million down to 1 million in also the order they came. So in total, that'll be 151 million in the prize pool, if my math is correct, which is probably not. And obviously the teams can sign whatever driver is on a 1 race contract as long as they're from whatever country they're representing. Well, yeah, to be honest, that's all I can say on this topic. I just hope this actually comes true and isn't just some mad fantasy fever dream that I've come up with. I know a lot of financial work in my little project here is a bit dodgy, but at least hope my car specs are somewhat realistic and viable. Just in general, I hope you think this is a good idea, but it's not like the actual Olympics are going to see this. Please leave a comment on this and tell me what you think could be different, because I've probably left something out or there might be some obvious flaws in this. But anyways, that's all for today. So please like, please subscribe, and see you.